Kind words. Want to thank, by the way, when he talked about birthday parties, last September, Forbes celebrated its 100th anniversary. And I had a 3-year-old grandson who thought it was my 100th birthday. And I'd explain there's a difference between 70 and 100, but you know, with young kids, you're above the age of 30, we all look the same. It's one of those things. But I want to thank Jim for making this possible. Thank Virginia and Marlene for the work they did. Jerry, thank you for willing to continue to fight. We were talking about auto insurance earlier. None of you may remember, but New Jersey was once the one state in the country, maybe Massachusetts was another, where auto insurance was absolutely unaffordable. And Jerry had the idea and persuaded Democrats to go along with it, as well as Republicans. Both sides had a hard time being convinced that let companies have an open market. And voila. You know, we don't like paying for it, but we have it now. Yeah. And this statesman made it happen. So, and what all of this underscores is what motivates Steve to run, and that is the virtue of free markets. Free markets, whether you call it free markets, free enterprise, capitalism, whatever name you want to give to it, when allowed to operate, always will turn scarcity into abundance, will turn today's luxuries into tomorrow's commodities. As somebody said, if you want to see how the poor will live tomorrow, look at how the rich live today. For example, if you'd said 20, 25 years ago that Grandma would operate a supercomputer, size of this room, you'd have said, you're nuts. Well, everyone, including Granny, with a handheld, and I can say Granny because I'm of that age too, so no ageism there, but with a handheld, you have more computing power than a supercomputer did 20 years ago. Scarcity into abundance. Seemingly things that are exotic, we take for granted, and it's amazing, we take these things so for granted with our handhelds, that if it takes more than 6 seconds to place a call to Outer Mongolia, you say, what a piece of crap this is. Come on. So, and the examples are abundant. You know, take automobiles. We'll all be driving tonight. 100 years ago, 120 years ago, in real terms, a car cost over $100,000. Along comes Henry Ford, gifted set of engineers, moving assembly line, turns a toy for the rich into something every working person could afford. Talking about handhelds, we used to call them cell phones. 35 years ago, the first one from Motorola was as big as a shoebox, weighed like a brick, 40-minute battery life, and the first one cost $3,995. Now, I guarantee you, if the other side had been in power and said, by golly, we're going to make sure these cell phones are available to everyone, today they'd be scarce, they'd cost $9,995. And they'd be complaining about profiteers. And they've long since gone beyond voice. They do everything now, except maybe grow hair. Maybe the Apple 11 will do that. It's amazing. It's amazing. Scarcity into abundance. Flat screen TVs. You know, 15 years ago, it cost you $18,000. Now you go to any store, a few $100, and you got these things better than ever before. And we can do it in healthcare by having patient control. Do it in education by having parental control. And this is why Steve's candidacy is so important. First, as Jerry indicated, he is a doer. Even as mayor of his town, he actually restrained spending. He got certain services done by people who had to compete for it. So taxpayers got a good deal. So this man has delivered, and he's fought every good fight, whether it's raising the sales tax, gasoline taxes, unconstitutional bond issues. He's always out there fighting. He's a tax cutter. And also what I like about him, and since you're here, I can take the risk, when he sort of mentioned it, Federal Reserve monetary policy. When you say monetary policy, Federal Reserve, the eyes glaze over, even though we know it's important. So let me just give you a travel tip. If you ever find yourself in an airplane in coach, middle seat, watching your life pass away, sitting on the runway, you want a little bit of elbow room with your seatmates, start talking to them about monetary policy. They'll cut you a wide berth. You just have to hope they don't drag you off the plane or put you in the compartment above. You know, you gotta go watch out for that. But he understands these things. He understands the importance of money. Now, we all know money, but when it comes to monetary policy, what the Federal Reserve does, what Washington does, is a travesty. It's a travesty. You know, money is like a claim check. You know, wintertime, you check your coat. What do you get? A worthless piece of paper, worthless piece of plastic, worthless in and of itself, but it's a claim on a real product. You buy a ticket to an event. Ticket, piece of paper, ellipses on your handheld, worthless in and of itself, but a claim on a real service, real product. Money's like a claim check. And when they start fooling around with its value, you know, when you buy a gallon of gasoline, you assume it's the same size today as it was yesterday and will be tomorrow. But when money changes value, it hurts investment, it undermines social trust. Because how do we deal with each other? Through money. That's how we do billions of transactions each day around the world. We don't even think of it. But it's trust. We trust that this intrinsically worthless piece of paper, intrinsically worthless coins, ellipses on a computer, can buy real products and services. When it's undermined, it corrodes everything, hurts investment. You don't have investment, you don't have a future. You don't have the things that make possible a better standard of living. Now, it's true, a lot of entrepreneurs couldn't care about money, but if they come up with something great, if they don't have the capital, it's just going to remain a hobby. Not going to go anywhere. China invented great things, but never went anywhere because they didn't have free markets where people could develop these things, constantly improve these things. So they stagnated. Steve understands these things. And you can see it in the market today. Tariffs, I'm being blunt with you, is another word for sales taxes. You know, tariffs, what's that? It's a sales tax. You say sales tax, 25% sales tax on steel, get that. Now, maybe these are negotiating ploys, I hope so, but we got to make sure we don't put extra taxes on. Now, there are trade abuses out there. That's why we should be working with our allies, very real trade abuses, Chinese stealing our stuff, hacking our stuff. You know, a few years ago, I was with the CEO of a corporation. He talked about how, you know, they can monitor the constant hacking of their IT systems. And he said they noticed each day for about an hour, the hacking stopped, the attacks stopped, and they finally figured it out. The government-employed hackers were having their lunch break. True story, true story. So, in healthcare, ask yourself, why do we have a healthcare crisis? People say, well, we want too much of it. But think of it, in any other part of the economy, people want more of something. We say it's a great opportunity. People want more apps. Writers glad to help you out. People want more cars. Detroit and other manufacturers glad to come to your assistance. So what's with healthcare? What's with healthcare is we don't have real free markets. Nobody designed this system, so we shouldn't point out, oh, they're evil, that evil. No, it grew up, helter-skelter after World War II. I describe it in a book I wrote called Reviving America a couple of years ago. But you don't have real free markets. And the proof of it is, it's all third party. It's all third party. Hospitals know their revenues depend on how well they negotiate with the government, with large insurance companies, with large employers, not you, the patient. And the proof of it is, the lousiest motel in America wouldn't dare put you in a room with another guest, a sick guest with a curtain in between. Think of it. Or the robes, which look like they've been washed 10,000 times, perhaps Salvation Army discards. You don't know whether you put it on front, backwards. I mean, and if you go and ask the price of something in advance, you get a very strange look. It means one of two things. Either you're uninsured or you're crazy. Why would you want to know the price? Insurance will cover it. Maybe. Just one anecdote on that. And Steve understands these reforms that we have to make, empowering patients and the like. I was in New Hampshire a year ago, met with a guy, and he talked about how he had a cardiac problem. So he goes to the cardiologist, and one of the tests the cardiologist recommends is what they call a nuclear stress test. And they put something in your body and whatever. So in all innocence, he asked what the thing costs. Doc says, I don't know. Insurance will cover it. Don't worry about it. This guy, being an entrepreneur, not taking fingers they are, went out and with a group of people got prices. The test is done the same everywhere. So this is a hospital does different. Test the same everywhere. And so he goes to they go to 25 different hospitals and clinics, get the price. The prices range from $1,450 to $7,300. Same test. So he goes back to the cardiologist, said, I'll do the $1,400 variety. And the cardiologist says, what? This costs over $1,400? I had no idea. True story. The guy gets up, the doc gets up, does some calculations, and says, with your particular condition, there's less than a 2% chance this test will tell us anything. Let's just drop it. True story. True story. So we have to empower patients. Jerry is one of those advocates. You should be able to buy health insurance anywhere you want. You can go to Pennsylvania and buy a car. Somebody living in Pennsylvania come to New Jersey and buy a pair of shoes or whatever. But insurance, no. It's illegal. We're supposed to have one country. Let's have nationwide shopping to have scores of companies competing for your business. These are the kind of reforms that Steve will be pushing. Transparent pricing. How about, I haven't discussed this with him, so if it's bad, it's me, not him. How about, this is grim, but have more drinks. Have hospitals post each month how many patients die from infections received after.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So these kind of basic reforms, trusting we the people. We're human, so we're not perfect. But together, amazing things happen. Steve understands that it's like a garden. You tend the garden, great things can grow. That's what he sees the role of government. Not running the garden, but letting those who know what they're doing have a chance to till the soil, and we get the fruits of that. Nice thing about free markets is your success is somebody else's success. It's not zero sum as in days of old. The only way you got rich was by raiding your neighbor. Steve understands this. So we got a lot of challenges out there. Federal Reserve believes that prosperity causes inflation. So Steve understands the Fed and therefore will be watching them when they try to slow the economy, throw people out of work because they think we're too prosperous. They think that's bad because it causes inflation. The only thing that causes inflation is when you print too many dollars. That's right. Not people earning more and having a better standard of living. Steve understands that and he knows the questions to ask. He'll be a real watchdog, an informed watchdog, which is, there's so few of them in Washington. So in areas that don't get glamorous headlines, nitty-gritty, he'll be there fighting. He's into it. So thank you for coming here tonight. Thank you for helping him out. Get your friends to help out. We can win this race, as he indicated. It's there. The potential is there. And if we get him in there, by golly, not only will he be a good representative, but he'll also be good for the country and indeed the world. Thank you very much.
Steve Forbes, thank you very much, Senator Cardinale and everyone here. I want to take a moment to recognize and thank a few people, and I hope I do this right. It's never who you